In this video, we're going to create our very first coding program, okay? Very simple, but it will give us a sort of run through of setting up our compiler. So this is what we call our compiler, basically the tool that we can type in some embedded C code. Okay, so it's based on C++ programming. You may have heard that before, but this is embedded C programming that we use with our embeds. And the compiler, essentially, we can type in here, and then the compiler can compile or produce the binary ones and zeros to communicate all this nice code into the embed and our devices that's connected to it. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're just going to create a very basic program, get it started, and then go through the process of downloading it and getting a first program up and running. Right now, MBED make it very, very easy for us. Up at the top here, if we want to create a new, if we're doing a new task or a new bit of code, you're going to go up here and going to do a new program. Okay. Now, we're using the platform, so that's our LPC 1768 that we added in earlier on in the video. So we're still going to use that. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a template. Okay, it gives you the options to use this Hello World template, a slightly different one, or an empty program. Now, to be honest, you can start from completely empty, but it's really handy just to start from this template. Okay, and you can give it the name as you wish. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to keep that name in there, embed Blinky if we want, but later on we'll be changing the names, and then we're going to click OK. And what this does is, like it says, puts in a template for you. But you'll notice, okay, over here, we've a couple of files that it's already added in first, right? So if I just minimize this down, you'll see, okay, that all my tasks and my files are going to go in here. And each task we work on has a folder. And within that, it's got 2 files, okay? Now, I could have more for just this task. Now, what you have is your .cpp file, which is what the embed uses for compiling, and that's where you type in your main code. Okay. Now you could have other files in here with different extension names on it, and then you'll see we've got this embed library file. Okay, you see there's like documentation that comes with it. It's just not quite ready yet. Give it a wee minute to update. When you compile it the first time, it will. But you'll see there's some associated files that come with this. Right now. So these all are within this embed Blinky project. So keep that in mind. There's a couple of files that comes with it, and that's why it's useful to use the template, just so you don't forget about anything. In any task you do, you're always going to have your .cpp file, and you're going to have this embed file as well. Okay. What the embed file does is associated like libraries and helpful functions that allow us to create a code that bit easier. Okay. Now you'll see what it does is it's asked to include this embed.h file. So it's this library file that's embedded in here. So if we have this line of code, and we'll explain all the code in our classes as we go through, you don't need to understand them just yet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a wee bit because this is quite hard to see. That's a bit better. So sorry if that was a wee bit small. So if you have this line of code in, you need to have this that matches with it. Okay. So that will be sorting itself out in a minute. Right? So keep that in mind. That's what this means. Again, we'll drill down into what that means a little bit later in the classes, but that means you must have this there. So if this isn't included, this line of code won't match up with it. Okay. Then we've got some code. Okay, up here is where we'll specify some inputs and outputs. Don't worry about it just yet. And functions and things like that. And then we have our main loop. That's doing a little bit of code for us. Okay, so what we've done is by using the template, it's added in some lines of code for us already, which is really helpful, and added in some files. So it makes it nice and easy for us. Right now, what we're doing here is we're literally just going to flash an LED on and off. Hint is in the name there, Blinky. Okay, we're going to blink an LED on and off. Now, if I just open up this diagram that you all will have with your kits, right? You will see there are 4 LEDs, these ones down here, that are built onto the board. Okay, so it's not that we're wiring them in through the breadboard or into these pins here. These are actually little LEDs that's already on it. So what we can do, just when we're testing our first bit of code, we're just going to flash one of these. So we're not connecting anything else additional onto it. Okay. So when you refer, and when you type this in capital letters, so capital letters are important. You'll see here, digital out is important, the capitals and this lowercase. Very much attention to detail. This LED 1 is referring to that, this particular LED here. And then if you want to do LED 2 or LED 3, LED 4, because we're using this embedded embed.h file, that makes sense to it. So again, if you didn't have these things in, it wouldn't make sense. It's a digital output, so it's an LED. It's just on or off, so that's digital. It's not analog, okay? It's an output because it does something, it turns something on for us. It's not an input like a push button. And then what we have here is we have our main bit of code. So again, we'll be drilling down into these a little bit as we code, but all we're doing is we go into an infinite loop. The LED turns on, it waits 0.2 of a second, the LED goes off, and it waits 0.2 of a second. Okay. So that's all the code does, and it just loops back around forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this code in and see that happening. So you don't need to edit any of this code. We're going to download it in and check it out. Now, in the next video, we'll show you how to connect in the embed onto the breadboard and things like that. But if you did want to change things up, maybe you might want to try a different LED. You can change the LED to 2 or 3 or 4, so that'll trigger the different LEDs here if you just wanted to see that happening. Or if you wanted to have a longer delay, you can just change this. Okay, so you can play around with this a little bit. But hopefully you see that's how we insert a program. Even in our future programs, we'll be doing it this way and just typing in and deleting things out, because it does be very helpful. It includes a lot of those things at the start. So that's our first program in. What we want to do, once you have done your coding and you're happy with it, you would go ahead and you would compile it. Okay, so you click compile and it will go through a process, all going well. You will see this success here, and then what you have excuse me, is a file. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to go into the folder and you will see it here. Okay, this bin file, and that is what you will put into your embed. Okay, so that's all for this video. That's how we compile. We get this bin file that lets us know it's ready for putting into the embed, and we can go ahead and test out the code. Just because it compiles doesn't necessarily mean your code is right. It just means the computer understands and you're using correct functions, but it doesn't mean you're what you're hoping for it to do, maybe it will do it. Okay, so it's always interesting, but always good to get to compile. If something is wrong, let's say if we took out a semicolon here, which are very important, and we go to compile it, you should see it'll flag an error saying expected semicolon. It actually puts it, this is the next line after it. So if you look around this area here, you will see, okay, semicolon there, compile, and then there we have the file. Now what I should say is, that's not just going to catch it in here. Once you connect the embed in, it's just like having like a USB drive. You'll have a link to the embed will be along here. It'll pop up there, it'll say embed. It's like adding in a USB file. And all you just do is you copy and paste where did that go? Sorry, downloads. The bin file into it. Okay. I might just get that set up to make that make sense. So sorry, just quickly show that. I've connected in my embed. You'll see it there. It's like a USB file. And all you do then is you copy that bin file and place it in here. Okay. Now, if there's any other bin files there, you want to delete them. You don't want to put multiple bin files in here. Sorry, so I'll just copy this. Paste this in. The compiler doesn't like this. So anytime you're doing a new one, make sure you delete an old bin file that you might have been using, copy it in, and you'll just see you've got one there. And make sure this is always here, this embed file. It comes with it when you download it in, but that should always be there. Okay, so don't delete that one out, but delete the old bin files and just keep one bin file working. Okay, then the code's in. All you got to do, we'll look at it in the hardware video, is just reset the MBED and it will run this code continually while there's power to the MBED. So I hope that makes sense, and I'll catch you in the next video.